Well, good morning, security gang, and welcome back to the CyberHub Podcast. My name is James Azar. Thank you for tuning in to this morning's episode. It's Wednesday, February 4th, 2026. I'm the host of the CyberHub Podcast. I'm also a Chief Information Security Officer by trade. Thank you all for tuning in this morning. We've got a very, very busy show, gang, so let's get right into it here. Let me tell you what's on the agenda today. A $40 million crypto drain after an executive device were popped, a React Native flaw actively exploited in the wild, mass cans hammering Citrix, NetScaler from residential Proxies, plus a billing renewal scam flooding inboxes will hit Iron Mountain's limited breach, Washington's cyber strategy signals, and a surge in info stealers, as well as fixes for Docker's AI plugin and an RCE and VLLM. All of that taking place. And, we knew AI was going to be big this year. We knew there was going to be a lot around AI. Yesterday, I talked about the three-way chess game that's happening right now in the geopolitical arena between Russia, China, and the United States. We'll talk a little bit today here about what National Cyber Director Sean Cairncross is talking about regulatory-wise for information security, cybersecurity, and potentially what that signals for the future, as there's been a lot of uncertainty in the first year of President Trump's second term in office as to what their view is around cybersecurity. I think we're starting to get a little bit more of the strategy there after the delays in confirmation by Senate Democrats. So we'll get into all of that on today's show. Join me for a coffee cup cheers this morning. I've got my double espresso, and look at that thing. Look at that. Oh, it's so good. Coffee cup cheers, y'all. Espresso always excites me. It does. It powers me through. CyberHubPodcast.com. You can find exclusive content there, so go check it out. All right. Step Finance's $40 million crypto theft is being traced to a compromised executive device. This one is significant. Step Finance says attackers looted roughly $40 million after compromising an executive endpoint, then moving quickly to approve on-chain transfers. This wasn't a protocol bug. It was classic device level theft that bypassed everything else once the right sessions and keys were in reach. I mean, when you think about this is brilliant. It's compromising your CFO, then going and changing a bunch of information and then approving it yourself, and no one even knows. It's taking over the human trust chain and abusing it to the max. Risks here being that executive laptops and phones are de facto treasury councils in some cases, and if they're owned, so is your money. Mitigating this one means moving high-value movement to multi-sig with hardware wallets and requiring approvals from separately managed device. No single device can authorize alone. Would have helped mitigate this one. And again, we Monday morning quarterback these quite a bit here, like we do. It's just, it's part of the game, right? Like we Monday morning quarterback these, and it's, there's some significance to it, but I'll tell you right now, Monday morning quarterback, this one is, you wouldn't think about it in that same kind of point of view is what I would say. Executive devices are something we try to take care of and we try to watch, but a lot of times there's a limit of how much you're willing to do on an executive device. There's the internal politics there. We'll move to Iron Mountain, who had a data breach, but really limited to marketing materials, which means, was it really a breach? Iron Mountain reported a compromise largely confined to marketing assets, but even low sensitivity data enables highly convincing spear phishing themed to your contracts and logos. The risk is brand faithful business email compromise against users using real copy and cadence. Mitigating this one means enabling brand impersonation protection in your email security stack, specifically keyed to Iron Mountain terms and domains for the next 60 to 90 days. I'd even try to keep it on for quite some time until you kind of figure that one out. I think that's going to go a long way there as well. And again, marketing material, not really a breach. The reason I bring it up on the show here is because it just shows you that when a company is publicly traded, they'll err on the side of over-reporting rather than under-reporting to risk like SEC scrutiny and some FTC investigations. But at the end of the day, there's nothing there to report. But marketing materials being breached there and them trying to blackmail them on it, that's more of a brand hit. And threat actors know what a brand hit is, and that's why they're targeting that. Okay, We'll move to Shane Cairncross and a sharper U.S. cyber strategy here with a new policy signal coming from the federal and the White House level here. At the federal level, strategy work is emphasizing force generation, public-private disruption operations, and workforce assigned. We'll see more joint campaigns against criminal infrastructure and tighter expectations on private sector resilience. The risk here isn't technical, it's really regulatory and readiness debt that if you're not aligned to the playbook, you might be suffering there. So let's talk a little bit about what Sean did say. And folks, Sean talked about getting input from industry. And I think we've always talked about this. I remember I was one of the early members on the National Technology Security Coalition. And I remember a few of the trips we did to DC meeting with some public officials that didn't even know what a CISO was. And there was power in that room. Like, we weren't a bunch of CISOs, I mean, from unknown companies. These were Fortune 100 CISOs in the room, yet several congressmen did not know what a CISO was. And we had to explain what that title is and what we work on for the business. And regulation often comes in terms of reporting, not in the terms of setting standards. And I think this is where we have a chance as an industry to go to National Cyber Director Cairncross and say, sir, we need to set standards. At the bottom line, we need to set a standard across the board. We also need to ensure that those standards don't serve our adversaries, don't serve the criminals, but rather don't re-victimize the victims of their actions. And when you're required to report an incident within 4 days to the SEC, with any sort of with the reporting requirements that are in place in the middle of an event, you're only adding more to the fire instead of helping calm it down. And the role here of the federal government should be calming things down. Like, I should be able to report this to my ISAC immediately. I should be able to report it to the FBI and Secret Service. And then we should allow those agencies to potentially report it downstream based on what they consider it to be there. The White House wants to revise the current patchwork of cybersecurity regulations so that form follows function rather than the rule being a compliance checklist. Music to our ears. We've been dreaming of this day for quite some time. Administration's officials have had a lengthy engagement with the private sector as they've developed a strategy, adding that business groups, which often complain about the Biden's approach to regulation, could find the Trump administration more amenable to industry views as it implements its new strategy. So they're saying they're listening. Right, Mr. Cairncross, let them know what you're thinking. It'll go a really, really long way there to help do just that. So let's get to our next story here, folks. But again, this one is critical, by the way, in the way that they're doing it, because what they're trying to do is get industry on board first before just putting out a strategy document, which was what the Biden White House did. They put out a strategy 3 years into the presidency of a lame duck president who we knew wasn't going to run for another term, or if he was going to fail miserably. And yet they put out a policy like right around election time, like right before election time, just to say they put out a policy that meant nothing, that couldn't be enforced because there was a year left. So let's not wait that long here. All right. We'll move to a cloud storage payment renewal scam that's flooding inboxes across the country and the world. Threat actors are blasting fake storage renewal invoices and even service cancellation countdowns to push urgent card payments or even login capture. The scam is abusing brand familiarity with like Dropbox Drive, OneDrive clones to target finance teams and even executive assistants. The risk is direct fraudulent payouts and even stolen SSL credentials routed to your crown jewel SaaS. To mitigate this one, require AP to pay only inside the vendor's authenticated billing portal. No emailed links, no phone numbers from invoices, none of that. Those should already be standard in your environment. But if they're not, then you want to address that there as well. And that's going to go a long way to help secure that one specifically. All right. React Native back in the news with CVE 2025-11953. This vulnerability is now being exploited in the wild. So let's review what we got going on here. The critical React Native flaw is being actively abused to reach code execution via malicious packages or even components, perfect for supply chain pivots into mobile apps and even desktop shells that rely on the framework itself. The risk is poison dependency and slipping through the build pipelines and landing in production, which is something you don't want. And then on millions of users' devices, If they land in production, they're on millions of users' devices. Mitigating this one involves bumping and rebuilding on the fixed version immediately and turn on the CI/SCA, break the build gates for this package family so vulnerable versions can't ship. Again, this one has a CVSS score of 9.8. So you want to get that addressed there as well. Okay, we'll move to Citrix and a scanning wave via thousands of residential proxies hitting the NetScaler infrastructure over the past week. Researchers are tracking a massive reconnaissance wave hitting NetScaler and ADC edges using residential proxy swarms to evade IP reputation and even geofilters. This is the recon before exploit, meaning there's some exploit out there. They're reconning to see what it is, doing their work. They're hunting for lagging patches or even exposed management planes. The risk is a quiet edge takeover, leading to session hijacked and even traffic interception. Then laterally within your network, put the NetScaler management plane on a dedicated interface with IP allow listing, only no internet reachability, and verify you're on the latest patch train. That will help go a long way there as well. So again, when they're scanning, when we see massive scanning, I can tell you right now, that makes me extremely nervous, folks. It makes me extremely nervous because that means that they've got an exploit already in their back pocket. They're just looking to see where they're going to where they're going to have the most impact there as well. Let's move to this NetScaler campaign that's expanding and shifting the session theft at scale. The multiple reports are showing that InfoStealer campaigns are broadening from just password grabs to token and session exfiltration, API keys, and even cookies. Everything needed to log in without logging in. The risk is durable SSO bypass and cloud data pulls long after a password reset. To mitigate this one, enable phishing-resistant MFA like passkeys, hardware keys, plus device posture for SSO, so stolen creds alone can't satisfy policy. That will go a long way there. Docker, for their end, are issuing a fix for the critical Ask Gordon AI plugin issue that's impacting Docker. Docker shipping the fix for the critical flaw in its AI assistant interaction that could expose developer environments and even secrets when processing prompts or even fetching context. The risk here is DevBox compromising the supply chain access, token registries, signing keys. Mitigating this one, update your Docker desktop extension and disable the AI plugin org-wide until your security team validates that the patch's behavior in a sandbox. Let me give you the CVE for this one. I'm not sure if they have it in here. You know what? The team would have put it up here. Not here, folks. It's not here. All right. Our final story here for this morning's show, a VLLM RCE CVE 2026-22778. A malicious video link is triggering server-side code on this vulnerability. The new remote code execution in the VLLM lets attackers craft a malicious media link that, when fetched or even processed, executes code on your interface server. The risk is high. LLM backends often run with broad data access and even generous egress. Mitigating this one ensures on your end to disable remote URL and asset fetching in VLLM and place the service behind an authentication required gateway with strict egress denied by default to make sure that gets mitigated. That's it for our show this morning. If you haven't checked out cyberhubpodcast.com, do so now. On Friday of this week, we have a special episode coming. Zach Lewis, author of CIO and CISO, but author of a great book, Locked Out, on the Lockbit ransomware attack that paralyzed his organization, sat down with me a few weeks ago talking about the book. We're going to be publishing that episode at 11 a.m. Friday exclusively, folks, exclusively on YouTube and at cyberhubpodcast.com. It'll re-air everywhere else the following day, but if you're not on cyberhubpodcast.com, if you're not a subscriber on our YouTube, you'll miss out the premiere. So go check it out there. I'll post an kind of preview to the episode tomorrow. So go check it out as well. Thank you all for tuning in. Make sure to subscribe. Let me know your thoughts on what's keeping you up at night, or what do you really think we need to do as a security posture in the United States? What would you tell President Trump and Sean Cairncross if you had the opportunity? Let me know in the comments. Have a great rest of your day, y'all, and stay cyber safe.
We love feedback, so make sure to connect with us on social media and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast listening platform.